If wisdom is so valuable, why doesn't anyone care? Why do silly videos go viral in seconds while profound teachings go unnoticed? The answer is not simple and may even be uncomfortable, but that's precisely why you should watch this video until the end. Have you ever noticed how the world seems to reward superficiality? The more superficial it is, the more likes. The louder it is, the more attention it gets. And those who want to say something truly transformative talk to themselves. Do we live in an era where ignorance has become entertainment? Is the system trying to distract you, confuse you, and lead you away from the truth? In this video, let's analyze the invisible reasons that cause wisdom to be dismissed as something boring and useless, and why empty content is celebrated as genius. You will never see the world the same way again. The world isn't interested in knowing how you think. Have you noticed how everything around you seems designed to distract you? Sounds, notifications, short videos, sensational headlines. It's no coincidence. Thinking requires time, silence, and depth. Three things the modern world seems to detest. It's as if an invisible force is trying to fill your mind with trivial thoughts. And the less you think, the easier it is to manipulate you. The truth is uncomfortable. Controlled societies don't need visible chains, just disconnected minds. From school onwards, we're taught to memorize, repeat, and obey. Asking questions? Forget about it. Critical thinking is dangerous because it creates people capable of seeing beyond the obvious. And those who see too much begin to be a burden. The world benefits from your distraction. The less you think, the more you consume. The more you buy, the more you see, the more distracted you become. And all of this distances you from what matters most, your autonomy. Because truly thinking is an act of freedom, it is then that you begin to question everything, even the system itself. But the system doesn't need free people. It needs obedient consumers. And the most effective way to achieve this is to make thinking rare, even undesirable. That's why empty content is encouraged, while deep reflection is relegated to the background. Because thinking is dangerous for those in power. 2. Superficial entertainment, empty minds. We live in an age where what's most consumed is often the least useful. Short videos, memes, trends. Entertainment itself isn't inherently bad. The problem is that it becomes the sole source of inspiration. An excess of superficial entertainment deprives people of the ability to concentrate, reflect, and delve deeper into any subject. And this comes at a very high cost. The mind works like a muscle. If you only feed it the bare minimum, it weakens. Thinking requires training, curiosity, and stepping outside your comfort zone. But superficial entertainment only offers a quick and easy dopamine rush, a pleasure that requires no effort. And when you're only drawn to what's easy, effortless, and fun, you lose the ability to focus on what truly matters. Worse still, this kind of content disguises itself as innocent entertainment, but it actually rewires people's brains. They become impatient, anxious, and addicted to brief bursts of stimulation. And wisdom? It's ignored because it comes slowly, requires attention, and demands an internal struggle. In a world dominated by distractions, anyone who offers depth seems like an oddity. And the most ironic thing? The more superficial the content, the more viral it becomes. Because it's simple, fast, and demands nothing from the consumer. But that same simplicity generates an epidemic of empty minds. People who can no longer maintain a train of thought, an emptiness that the algorithm loves, but that comes at a high price for those who inhabit it. Before continuing, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. 3. The truth is hard to swallow. The truth is rarely comfortable. It hurts, exposes, and forces us to change. That's why many prefer to live in a comforting lie. Wisdom brings truths that not everyone is prepared to hear, much less accept. Because accepting the truth means admitting you were wrong, that you were deceived, that you need to change. And that's scary. It's easier to laugh at a meme than to confront a truth that could change your life. It's easier to ignore a profound idea than to rethink deeply held beliefs. The problem is that by running from the truth, people also run from evolution. They fall into the trap of willful ignorance. And those who try to show the way to wisdom are labeled boring, negative, or even arrogant. The strangest thing is that deep down, we all know when something is true. Truth carries weight. It has impact. It doesn't need fanfare or special effects. But that's precisely why it's so frightening, because it speaks directly to what lies hidden inside each of us, and it's often easier to silence that voice than to confront it. So, instead of wisdom, people consume entertainment. Instead of personal growth, they seek distractions. The truth remains here, silent, waiting for those brave enough to face it. But such people are few, and that's why wisdom rarely goes viral, because not everyone wants to hear what they need, only what they like. 4. The algorithm loves things that make you stupid. Think you control what you consume? Think again. What appears on your screen is the result of precise calculations performed by algorithms that they know exactly what's holding you back. And you know what they discovered? The stupider the content, the longer it's remembered. The more controversial it is, the more comments it generates. And the more stimuli it contains, the more appealing it becomes. The algorithm isn't interested in the truth, your development, or your mental health. It wants clicks, it wants screen time, and it offers what works. If ignorance works, that's what it will promote. Wisdom? Forget it. Deep reflection makes the user abandon the app, reflect, and rethink their life. And that's not profitable. Thought-provoking content is quietly suppressed. It appears less frequently, is recommended less often, and is overshadowed by thousands of visual distractions. Meanwhile, you're constantly bombarded with stupid, controversial, and sensationalist videos, because the most important thing is avoiding distractions. And the more you consume this type of content, the more the algorithm understands that this is exactly what you need. This creates a vicious cycle. What makes you stupid becomes your daily bread. Unless you stop, question things, and regain control, something few people do, because unfortunately thoughts don't go viral. Those who think are afraid. Those who think too much are irritating. They ask questions no one wants to answer. They see things many prefer to ignore, and the system knows it. Thinking is dangerous because those who think act differently, and those who act differently don't fit into the mainstream. They don't obey blindly. They don't consume automatically. They don't settle for less. Most people prefer to go with the flow, repeat established opinions, and follow fashion trends. But those who think question, and this poses a challenge to the mental well-being of others. Thinkers are perceived as difficult, overly critical, and negative. But in reality, they simply look beyond the obvious. This is unsettling because it forces others out of their comfort zone. It's easier to discredit a thoughtful person than to follow their reasoning. That's why wise people are often considered mad, solitary, and even dangerous. Wisdom is unwelcome where ignorance reigns, because where there is wisdom, there is change, and change threatens those who profit from chaos. Ultimately, the world fears those who think because it knows they possess power, not the noisy, empty power of fame, but the silent power of transformation. And that is why so many are silenced, ignored, or ridiculed, because thinking is an act of courage, and courage, unfortunately, is not easily contagious. 6. Ignorance sells better. If wisdom sold as well as ignorance, the world would be very different. But the truth is simple. Ignorance sells, and it sells very well. It sells status, false promises, simplistic solutions to complex problems. Anything that requires a little effort, reflection, and emotional appeal sells. Ignorance comes in flashy formats, exaggerated headlines, shocking images, superficial yet captivating speeches. It's like fast food, quick, delicious, but it leaves you empty. Even so, people keep buying, clicking, watching, because it offers instant gratification. It's addictive, and most importantly, it's easier. Those who try to sell wisdom face a problem. It doesn't come ready-made. It doesn't have instant appeal. Wisdom requires gradual assimilation, attention, and analysis. It doesn't generate immediate profits. That's why it isn't promoted. It doesn't go viral. Because the logic of the market is simple. The easier it is to consume, the easier it is to sell. And so the cycle repeats itself. The more ignorance circulates, the more it is consumed. And the more it is consumed, the more it takes root as the norm. Meanwhile, wisdom remains like a forgotten commodity on the shelf. It's there, accessible, but few dare to embrace it, because it changes, and change is frightening. 7. Wisdom finds no listeners, and that's a problem. Wisdom doesn't generate large crowds, at least not in the format most people prefer today. Because wisdom doesn't shout, doesn't dance, doesn't grab attention with flashy effects. It arrives gradually, as if asking permission, and the modern world doesn't tolerate that. The public craves immediate impact, not reflection. Social media algorithms are programmed to reward sensational content, not life-changing content. And sadly, wisdom doesn't attract the same attention as gossip, controversy, or crude humor. The result? Those who offer wisdom are forced to choose between ignoring it or adapting to the rules of the game. But this adaptation comes at a price. When wisdom tries to fit into the mold of entertainment, it often loses its essence. It becomes diluted, superficial, almost unrecognizable, and as a result, the audience that could benefit from deeper content ends up consuming something overly filtered, almost useless. The problem is serious because widespread ignorance isn't just a matter of taste. It's a threat. A world without wisdom is a world of bad decisions, destructive behavior, and lost souls. And as long as audience size is measured solely in numbers, ignorance will continue to prevail. Before continuing, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. 8. How to succeed in a world that fosters ignorance. If the world rewards ignorance, how can someone who seeks wisdom succeed? The answer is not simple, but it begins with an important principle: endurance. It is not about brute resistance, but the silent and constant resistance of a person who prefers to swim against the current, even knowing that it is more difficult. In this context, Winning isn't necessarily about achieving fame or going viral. It's about maintaining integrity. It's about continuing to say what needs to be said, even when no one wants to listen. It's about influencing real people, not just the superficial impression of millions. Wisdom doesn't work on a grand scale. It works at the deepest level. Another way to succeed is to create your own space. Don't rely on platforms that reward superficiality, but build a community that values depth. Yes, it may be smaller, but it will be more cohesive. Thoughtful people attract others who also think. And this cycle, although slower, is more lasting. Ultimately, victory in a world that rewards ignorance is, above all, not to be part of it. It's about not giving in to what's easy, to what yields the best results. It's about resisting the temptation to remain silent, because ultimately, those who sow wisdom, even in barren soil, reap fruits that ignorance will never understand. You've come this far. That says a lot about who you are, or who you're becoming. While millions of people continue scrolling through social media, addicted to empty stimuli, distracted by content that requires nothing more than passivity, you decided to reflect, think, and ask questions. This automatically places you among the few, the exceptional ones, those who still value the truth, even if it's not beautifully presented. And that is already an act of resistance. The world may continue to celebrate ignorance. Algorithms may continue to foster superficiality. But there will always be room, however small, for those who choose the path of awareness. And if this video has impacted you, if it has touched you deeply, if it has become a turning point for you, you have a role to play in this movement. Subscribe to the channel, not only because it helps keep the content going, but also because together we create a space where thought is still valued, where wisdom finds an audience, where uncomfortable truths aren't censored, but shared. You are not alone. And we have to keep going together. See you in the next video.